From a resident.
But yeah, let me get this file.
I think the mother chose to do all the stuff they need to support her to get there. I've made my kids.
Yeah, I had
be
something in there
passes
about us hitting a glitch.
They can just an accident, and I think they should.
When I had, they had, back then, there was no software, there was just typing. She would. Why would I ever learn?
Oh, my God.
There was no such, I mean, that was,
Yeah.
there was no keyboards, there was no.
I think it's right, because I don't want you to. They don't have to do too much
I
now.
actually didn't look at it.
Every month, all the time. It's
Get started.
Make sure you get it right. You ready to go?
My kids are.
Oh, they were.
That computer science was punch cards. Punch cards that had to get right order.
They'll never understand.
Okay, at 6 o'clock, I'm calling the meeting to order. Probably 6:03, maybe. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, call the roll.
Gallagher.
Here.
Callaghan.
Here.
Jacoby.
Present.
Scarborough.
Here.
Showers.
Here.
Freeman.
Here.
Yes. Okay. And I'm looking for the approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on anything within the consent agenda? All right, clerk, call the roll.
Gallagher.
Yes.
Callaghan.
Yes.
Jacoby.
Yes.
Scarborough.
Yes.
Showers.
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Olson.
Sorry. And then the approval of the personnel agenda?
That was handled under the consent agenda.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You're good. It is a change, so maybe I can speak out a little bit. A couple of meetings ago, we approved to move the personnel agenda to the consent agenda. So when we vote yes or no on that particular item, or on the consent agenda, we approve or disapprove of the personnel agenda, the personnel changes too.
Okay. So I have no comments at this point. Alderman comments? Oh my, this might be a record meeting. Old business, anyone? All right, public comments and guests? Do we have anyone? Hello?
Hello.
Come on forward.
I have quite a bit, but 3 minutes or something like that.
We've got 3 minutes.
Okay.
If you start looping around, I'm gonna cut you off.
I start what?
Looping around, saying the same thing.
Yeah, I do that. 3 minutes is fine, but
Please tell us who you are.
I'm Matthew McGovern.
Okay.
I think they're so good. Okay, there we go. All right. So start by saying that, according to Columbus, California, one man's vulgarity is another man's literature. So, speech that you don't want to hear is a speech that you need to hear, but it needs protected. That's what's protected by the First Amendment. It seems to me that the city has lost sight of the duties that it has. And it's been let assume responsibility and assume power where it shouldn't. And nobody said anything because honestly, trying to find a lawyer that will litigate anything around here, and against the city or against any kind of public or, public, office or anything is almost impossible. And, city's supposed to handle financial, roads, public property, pass ordinance for safety, and promote the trade and commerce. City's power ends, when private property begins. Like the city has power over everything inside the city limits that is public. And if it's private, they don't have power over it. That'd be, so they can't pass traffic laws on private property or say, you can't have this color door on your house, or unless it's a safety violation or for welfare, for commerce and trade to help promote that, and they can't touch it. Here. If they said that they could do it on private property, I mean, the implications would be crazy. Then they could say, you know what, I'm gonna go in your house, and whenever I want to, I'm gonna tell you whatever you can inside your house to do. I mean, it's just nuts. We have a law on our books, that if you park on your grass, parking ticket, that's a traffic ticket. So that's not right. You can't force a traffic ticket on private property. There's, actually, part of the Missouri Constitution says you can't do that. Takings. The city can't have takings over private property without buying it. If you want to buy it, then you can literally go with it, I guess, but you can't just impose laws on private property without having takings. They take control. Okay, so the city ordinances, the city added on 215.160, it's the nuisance stuff. They added 2 different times, they added public or private in parentheses to property. Tried to control private property. In the state revised statutes, private property isn't mentioned at all. Any of the stuff that doesn't mention any. Private property is never mentioned at all. But for some reason, at some point, the city decided to add public and private in there, and they just poof, they were allowed to do it. Because nobody said anything. Nobody's pushed back, and they didn't have time to. And okay, so you have a car parked in your driveway that is not licensed. You can take it. Why? It's not on the road. There was a lady in court the other day, property, and people were ringing it. Their car wasn't licensed. It was expired. They could take a nuisance violation for a friend's car parked in their driveway. And she wasn't even went in her house, just renting it out. But me, myself, before the last meeting, the day of the last 2 meetings ago, I got a ticket in the mail. My neighbor got a warning, 10-day warning. So that's kind of screwed up. So whatever, so I'm going to court. So 2 weeks ago, I went to court. And by the time I got to court, I had 3 tickets for the same violation. I came home, I'm pissed. I went to my neighbor, I said, how many have you had? She said, I haven't got anything yet, nothing. I said, okay, so it is just me. And it's just retaliation. So house parking in a KO all the time. On the grass, next to the stop sign, they're in violation of, well, they don't do it that much anymore, but they're in a violation of revised statutes in Missouri by them. I mean, it's illegal. And they're running speed. I understand that. You can't break the law when you're enforcing it. But it seems like the Chief McGinley have decided that since they got away with hitting me with junk and parking in my own yard, that they just do what they want, I guess, because I wasn't even given due process. It says in our ordinances that you're given time to go before the board and everything to be heard before you have to go to court. I won't give any of that. I won't give a warning, no. Just take it. 1 every week. And neighbor, same exact thing. She had 2 cars. Both of them were expired. One had no license on it at all. One was parking in the grass in front of a bunch of tree shrubs and stuff. No tickets. No. Me? 3. And the last time I was in here, I just got done with court then with having junk in my yard. And the city has it set up like junk is anything. They can make it anything. The way that the definition of it is, it covers everything. And for somebody to say something's junk that's not theirs, you can pretty much make it whatever you want. If you don't like something in somebody's yard, it's junk. But I mean, the very strong, there's been Supreme Court case law that says a nuisance is an unreasonable use that substantially impairs that of neighbors. And I have 40 Supreme Court case laws here that all state the same thing, that if you're not impairing the enjoyment of somebody else's property, you have no case. There's nothing you can do about it. And then, see. Yeah, Missouri Constitution, Article 1, Section 28 says the same thing. Private property cannot be taken for private use unless, it's at my owner. All this, and then, yeah, I had this problem with my car before, right? I got my Corvette parked in my driveway, and, it's not gonna be done anytime soon, and we get 48 hours. And I know that the city picked that up somewhere, because there is a law in by statute says you cannot have a immobilized car on city property, public, for more than 48 hours. You can take it off 48 hours. And, you know, if you get a car broken on the highway, you take a little sticker on there, 48 hours later, they tow it away. Well, you can't tow stuff away as a property from somebody else's driveway. And Calvin Park figured that out last year because they got sued a lot. And, what was it? Defenders of Arch City lawyers have already done all the hard work on it. I mean, they've done all the legwork. It's ridiculous that we've gotten so skewed from what the purpose of the city council is, which is handle finances and the city, what the city owns, that we've got to where they think they can, we're like an HOA. It's like you can come and tell people what they can and cannot have on their driveway. And you leave it so wide open in the law that the definitions, whoever's writing the ticket can write whatever. It's anything outside. I think that's the way it's written. But then even that, I got 3 tickets, right? But it says on our laws, it says that, and, it doesn't say or, it says and. It says, it's talking about your junk or disabled cars. So, there we go. Damage to disabled vehicles, okay. Okay, here we go, 2 minutes. Violations and procedures. No person shall be allowed to cause, keep, or maintain any damaged or disabled vehicle, part thereof, or junk to be located on any property, streets, or highway which presents a hazard to children, harbors tall grass, weeds, or other vegetation, or creates fire hazard, or affords breeding place for nesting, mosquitoes, flies, rodents, rats, and vermin, or any vehicle parked therefore, or allowed junk allowed to remain unmoved on any street or highway for 48 hours. That's street or highway. But then we go ahead and add public and private to it. Any vehicle which is not registered or improperly registered with the state of Missouri has been inoperable or more on public or private property for more than 48 hours, or is in the state prepared as to be inoperable except for those parents duly licensed automobile mechanic. And then okay.
Dave, 1 second.
Yeah.
I just want to help guide this conversation a little bit. It sounds like there's 2 issues that you're bringing up to us. One is on the legislative side. It is, why does our city code have requirements on private property? That's kind of one thing. Why does the city say what you can and can't do on private property? The condition of your house, the condition of vehicles, the placement of vehicles, stuff like that. There's the why behind that.
As far as condition, I mean, house, that goes in the code. That's like your building code.
Sure, absolutely. I'm just trying to sort the
safety,
2 different
safety.
things.
Yeah.
So there's the why do we have things in statute, and then there's the you experience you have currently ongoing, you have recently completed whatever codes violations that were levied against you. I want to help you kind of figure out the answer to both of those, but doing it in the right pathway.
Right.
Coming here and talking to us about it, absolutely, awesome. We're having the conversation. I want to help connect you to the people that can help explain things a little bit better. So I don't mind taking your legislative side questions. There's a card out on the thing that says Patrick Gallagher works for, it has my email address, it has my phone number on it. Feel free to email me the questions that you have. I took a couple of notes while you were talking. I'd be happy to have that conversation with you. On the enforcement side, you're more than welcome to contact the mayor in the same manner. She has a business card out there saying, hey, I think I was unfairly targeted. I think I was unjustly ticketed, whatever the situation is. And say, hey, mayor, can you look into this for me? And she'll work with the proper department heads, and if they come back with a response to you, okay?
Okay, well.
Does that help you?
Yes and no. I mean,
okay.
I've been here before. This is like the third or fourth time I've been here about this. And it's, I mean, here's, when I was getting my tickets,
sure.
that's your figure.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, And at this point, it's like, I took it up to the district, I took it to the county, right, on this whole, whatever.
Trial de novo.
Yeah, trial and over. I screwed up and, should have taken higher, I guess. But, I'll have to take it still, I guess, because, I put a case law in there. I got a case law in front of our judge. Our judge doesn't listen to anything. The guy's a family lawyer. He doesn't know anything. Half time the prosecutor ain't out there when he's doing this. He'll schedule like trials and prosecutors back in the room. But, and here's another thing. Our judge here, okay, our prosecutor's a judge in the same county. He's a judge in the same court as our judge.
No,
He's seventh circuit, right?
he is not a judge in our court. He's a judge in
Excel
Excel
circuit,
Circuit.
Excel, just seventh circuit, right? Same circuit,
He's under the presiding judge.
which is Karen Crosby, right?
Correct.
So whenever we go to take cases up, they go in front of his boss. He's also the prosecutor, and that's his boss. Oh,
Sorry, no, Karen Krauser is not our presiding judge. She's a circuit judge.
she's the one that is where he's seen whenever they go
She's the
up.
one
And she's also
that-
the trainer for the circuit, the municipal court judge, right?
For municipal court judge.
So
Can I ask a question here? Why did you choose Pleasant Valley to live in?
where I found my house at, is close to the highways and stuff. Why?
Because, if you don't like what's going on here,
Oh, it's
it's,
illegal.
but you haven't found an attorney that's taking your complaints.
Defenders of our city.
Representing you.
Because we're non-bipartisan, all the lawyers who went run the same prosecutor, same judges over here. They went to a case like that, it's suicide. We went for Monday, and it's just, you can't find.
So it's above us.
Right, well, no, it isn't, because you're the ones that wrote the laws, you're the ones that can rescind them, and you're the ones that are ordinance.
We have the ability and the authorization to go much more restrictive than the statutes give us in a fourth-class city.
Not to the point where it violates the Constitution and rights.
I understand now.
In the Supreme Court, that's case law. You can't violate that either, and it's clear, very clear that they consider nuisances.
Good luck in finding a lawyer that's gonna,
Well, see, they already
Yeah.
done, defenders of our city have already done for me, all I gotta do is, fill in blanks.
okay,
And also, what makes one of these, attract less pests and rodents than the other one? Which one's harbors less pests than rodents? The same thing, just one sticker makes the car illegal or legal. I don't. Right? According to the law.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on that? Okay. We don't have to say in professional services out there? No. Okay, administration?
Provided a written report, the only thing I was seeking board action on was the declaration of the surplus items, which there was a list provided, and the only department heads that provided the items were Chief Knudsen and Director Cronk. So if you have questions about the specific items in question, you know, you have an answer. But we are seeking the board to declare those surplus. We can disclose of them properly.
Is that by motion? Okay,
I move that the supplied list of items be declared surplus.
Second.
any further discussion or any discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Calvin,
Yes.
Kobe,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Showers,
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Okay. Any human resource report? Okay. Public Works.
I provided you all with a written report. The only thing I wanted to add was on the bid from Tandem Paving for the work noted in their bid. We are meeting Wednesday night, Special Roads District, so I'll get their approval on their contribution, their monetary contribution, and then I'll have to come back to you all with your approval to go forward with the project.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
What's the normal contribution from a special road and street district? Is it percentage or is it typically a flat?
It's not a percentage, it's flat. It's usually like 150, 200,000.
Okay.
Yeah. And I wanted to note that Superior Bowen, when they gave us their bid, they had, they were minus $1.18 on the overlay. But the overlay from Tandem was $5.70 more, and that's from the oil prices going up.
Is this for virgin mix or recycled mix?
It's virgin.
And if we do the project separate, the price goes up on the parking lot, is that correct?
On this lot.
Yes. Is that what that's the lot that you're referencing, right, in your report? Okay.
Yep. That's all I have, unless anybody has any questions.
Can you help explain the difference between the MOB amounts? So on the MOB amount for the streets, it is 25,000. That covers MOB, which I don't know what MOB is, and then insurance, traffic control, flaggers,
MOB would be mobilization,
mobilization fee.
trucking in the equipment.
Okay, so in total for the streets, it's 25,000, and for the parking lot, it's 27,000. Even though the total bid is much less than the other one. What's the difference between, why is one $7,000 more for the smaller area?
Why was Superior Bowen hired, maybe?
No, this is both Tandem Paving. You provided two contracts, two proposals.
Yeah, I had them do the parking lot here separate because it was kind of like an add-on. But
So the first bid is both the parking lot and the streets?
the first bid is,
I'm asking about the proposal 25094.
all right, let me get to that. and I can tell you.
No, you've got two separate bids. And then you have a conversation about if you do the parking lot separately, then it's gonna cost you,
66,000.
right.
Yeah.
Where
So,
if
Yeah,
you,
but I'm just asking if the 183 is including both the parking lot and the streets.
The 183 is
The
for the
183.
4 roads.
It's only for the 4 roads.
The 66 is for the lot.
The 66 is for the lot only. So both of the quotes that have been given to us are only streets, only parking lot. And so my question is, why is traffic control, flaggers, mobilization, and insurance $2,000 more for only parking lot than it is for all the streets?
Because they're gonna charge you to move that machinery. I'll be honest with you, it's like a fluff, you know?
So it's not a hard, solid calculation. It's
Well, I mean, they go by mileage, where they're gonna move it to, you know, blah, blah, blah. And this, I believe I mentioned it, this is a pre-approved purchase, or I'm sorry, I always forget the technical name of that stuff.
A vetted vendor or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just trying to.
Cooperative
understand.
purchasing agreement, they
Okay.
won. So basically, I mean, I know you know how that works. Tandem put
Sorry, I
their,
don't know how that works, I'm just saying that.
oh, oh.
I'm
Well, no, that's
ill-informed.
cool. So a company goes out or submits bids for big construction. Sewers go, paving, and they collect these bids and they look them over and they award whoever is the lowest, most responsible.
Sure.
So that takes the pain out of us. You know, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm just looking,
I know, I know
our
what you mean.
duty is to kind of look through the proposals and contracts.
I know.
and I'm just asking a question as to why
Yeah.
mobilization is $2,000 more for a cost that is a third.
Yeah, to take the machinery from inside the city to City Hall parking lot?
Well, yeah, because it also says if they have to leave and come back, like, whatever, it's gonna be $5,000 more, but they're already charging us, $2,800 more just to bring the equipment from here to this parking lot, which is ridiculous. Because they probably didn't haul it, they probably road it.
I mean, I could try and negotiate with it.
Sorry, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, so.
No, it doesn't, I agree,
Cool.
right? So,
Is there anything that needs to be done by us tonight on the?
no, I gotta come back, the 21st
Okay,
and get your blessing and,
yeah, if there's any additional information you can provide on that.
yeah, and I'll try and negotiate with them. Yeah.
I love everything else that is pretty itemized. It tells you how many square yards and what price.
Yeah. Yeah, I can negotiate with them,
Okay.
see if they'll, because that probably wasn't in the, like the bid process.
Okay.
I'm sure that the, let's see.
Awesome. When you come back, are you good?
No.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
No,
I think
Let
we're
him sit down.
good with our questions. I don't want you falling.
Patrick,
Yeah.
if you, we could bring whoever is head of Tandem or does their, talking with the cities and everything, have them come in.
Explain it.
Yes, I think
That
that's
might
a
be
better
helpful.
idea.
Sure.
Yeah, that helps, yeah. It gets me off the hook.
And I would say after you talk to the road district, figure out what they're gonna contribute, because if we could shave a little off of this, then we may get down to where the road district's paying like 99% of it.
The only thing I'm worried about is Bill Holland's on vacation, won't be at that meeting, he's the president. But for me to push, their schedule, they said September, October, they would probably be able to do this job. And I'm worried about getting on their list with a signed contract.
Does Road and Streets nitpick these proposals as well? Okay.
Yeah.
So Bill's he out of town now, or is he leaving out before?
We'll be out of town for this Wednesday. So that would leave Jeff and Charlotte to approve that.
So you don't, the road district doesn't have an alternative to bring up if one of them is out of town? Okay.
Do they have the ability for the two of them to pass it?
Stephanie?
Mr. Chris?
Yeah.
Are you okay with me sharing about the GIS?
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so I had the opportunity to work with Mr. Chris a couple of weeks ago. Two things. For him to do his job accordingly, he needs a laptop that processes information, and as we are some type of software that's a commercial utility software, so he can do his job and assessment a little bit faster. Also, I did go to the utility area, and he just shared that there's going to be is it dehumidifier?
Air purifier.
Air purifier. It smelled bad, like the bubonic plague, if that's what it was. Just for the safety and health of our employees, we really need to make sure the rat infestation is done or some solutions. Just saying, because we have OSHA on this, and that would not be good.
Are you talking about inside of the public works building, the
Yes.
main office area?
That
Yeah,
and
if I could add, we had a 3-bed mouse problem, and we had a exterminator come in. But we haven't seen mice since.
When
But
did this happen?
the infestation or
When you had the exterminator come in?
they've come, well, they did their first assessment and set their bait traps. And then they've come back 3 times since.
Okay.
The bait traps, the last time they came, they saw no activity in terms of rodents eating the bait. We just have somewhat of a residual smell from the mice urine, feces, but it's way better than it was.
he's downplaying it. It stinks. It's really bad. And he just shared with me that there's a truck that was infested too. It stinks in there. I don't know how they can work in there, because I was in there for less than 5 minutes and I was like, I'm out. So I think we need to really find a way to invest the time and the money to make sure that there's air purifiers and prevention of like infestations or something. It smelled bad.
So this week I was gonna go get an air purifier, was one I saw in a couple different places that had good rating, that was like $180. So we'll go get it.
Okay.
Was my plan.
I think there needs to be more than that, a diffuser, air purifier or something circulating central, or an HVAC type of system to make sure that there is fresh air coming in there, since it is like a storage unit per se.
Is there a way to move your office over to the old fire station?
Not without a bunch of cost in terms of moving all of our lines for our computers, and a lot of that building is already designated as storage for the departments. We have the bays and we have the ground floor, but it's really not an ideal setup.
Okay.
And then the other thing I'd like to add is, honestly, I don't know but we need to figure out a budget to make sure Mr. Chris and his staff have laptops so that they have the flexibility if they need to work at home, or if there's an emergency and they can't get here, and the software and the tools so that they can do the best job they can for our residents.
They're essential personnel. They have to be.
Exactly, but,
Yeah.
okay, so I totally agree. If you're dealing with equipment that's over 5-10 years old, and I mean, like you said, he's clicking through GIS, our Esri software, our Clay County software, when he doesn't have the software because it's a free associated with Clay County, he can't do his job. He can't even do a paving analysis that we need. We have to get our employees the software, the tools to be successful, and even the training if need be.
Is it a matter of hardware? Like we, as City Clerk Chapman will attest, we are working through a process by which our hardware, computer hardware is recycled here in like the next 2 months. We have a short list of targeted equipment that needs to be replaced because the operating system is end of life. I think the minimum specs of what the replacement equipment will address some of the RAM,
Yeah.
CPU, and network shortcomings that the existing
Gigabytes
equipment has.
processing.
Mhm.
Because two things, we'll also have to look at software for commercial use or nonprofit, whatever we're categorized, so we can get a discount in the software. But yeah, they can't do their job. I'm just saying, we need to make sure they're elevated to a position, because they are vital, that if we have an emergency.
I think we need to understand what the needs are, what the
Okay.
software names are, what the applications are, and then build it into our budget.
Okay.
So if I could add to that, so I would need, there's 4 of us. Really only Corey and I are on the computer primarily. The other 2 are on the computer when they're doing environment testing, maybe going on there to log into health benefit stuff. But other than that, it's not in their job description, it's not allowed to be on the computer. I have a laptop. All the department heads were given laptops during COVID. Mine was never set up to be used because with construction continuing, I was having to come in to do permits, so I was never at home working on the computer. The other guys, like all employees, the other guys were off a week on, a week off, week on.
Sarah?
I was just gonna say, there should be, as far as laptops, I think all of the board was issued laptops and they turned them back in. So if there's like a need for additional laptops, there should be a good amount in this building that's not being used.
So I guess like Patrick said, it'd be figure out what I need on my laptop that was issued to me and get it on there. And I suppose,
Well, I can kind of tell you what he needs. He needs like an 8 gigabyte memory and an i5, i7 processor.
Then put that,
I'll
put
put one together for him and his,
put a list together and
Yeah,
forward
I'll
it
put
to
it-
Patrick.
and I think Matt's got to be working on that anyway. Or getting ready to, I guess.
Anything else under Public Works?
No,
That's it? Fire Department?
I did not have a written report, but I do have an update on the ambulance. I don't want to give it to you.
How far back did they push it?
So it's September.
Mm.
So they've got, it's in the system, so it goes to the bot, he sent me a schedule, it goes to the body shop on, in about on the 21st of July. So that's when it starts cranking. So they do have a pretty good, it's in the schedule now, and so they do have a good idea on the build time at this point. He was explaining that there's different lines of manufacturing, and one was for type 3 ambulances, one was for type 2 ambulances, and they were gonna try to bump us over to the other one because it might have been quicker, but would change the manufacturing, and they decided that was not a good idea to have those folks. They need to have the folks that do the Type 3, build the Type 3, and so we are where we are, so.
First part of September or the end, or he just said?
So he said that there's a window between kind of early September, I don't remember the dates, until early September to early October. And they kind of, depending on the process and timing, he said, usually it ends up somewhere in the middle. So I'm still thinking it's going to be September.
So no Christmas in July for you guys. Okay.
It's only 8 or 9 weeks, hopefully.
Just seems
instead of
kind of
another
just a long
6 months.
Right.
Yeah, I get it. It's like,
So I can say I'm pretty, well, I don't know if I said that before or not, but I'm pretty confident we'll be in this budget year, so we'll be writing a check this out of this.
Maybe wishful thinking though.
I hope not,
Okay.
That's all I have, thanks.
Thank you. Police Department, are you standing in? No?
I have nothing.
You have nothing? Okay.
I have a question. The license plate readers, do you have any idea when they're gonna be installed, or have they been?
I do not know.
One of them is live.
One.
Yes, one is
Right.
live, and we're waiting on the secondary one.
Talking about flop.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I gave them phone call locates when they're going in. And the one that's up right here in the corner, there's the one's up on the west end. I don't know if the west end is activated, but I know it's been installed.
Yeah, one of them we just haven't activated.
That's 2 out
We're
of
waiting
5.
on something.
Okay.
I was just curious, because I hadn't heard any more since we said you had to do it.
I thought they would, I expected they were gonna come and
Do them all.
knock them out, but I guess, I don't know if they only have so many of them in the warehouse, they're trying to keep everybody happy or what, I wouldn't know that part.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you.
So I'd like to add a comment. The gentleman that just left, Matthew, he gave a USB to either Pat or Mary Flippin. So he wanted to
Right
share
there.
some information. Yep, that one right there.
Okay.
So just giving it to either one of you. I said either one of you talk. So
Volume.
Is it gonna explode?
Okay.
Okay.
I will
I mean-
research it and I'll provide a report
Was
back.
this was this done tonight?
yes,
Okay.
just a few minutes
Just now.
ago.
Okay.
So I said either Mayor Flippin or Pat will get a hold of
If you guys don't mind, I'm a security professional in my day job. USB drives are a very dangerous vector.
Yep.
If you guys don't mind, I will take a look at what's on there and report back my findings.
Sounds like a winner.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you. Sarah,
I did provide a report. but
come
to
closer
kind
to the
of-
microphone.
But it's so tall.
You can move it. There you go.
So I did provide a report, but kind of touching base on Mr. Newcomer. I mean, you should always be looking at our ordinances and updating them. The last time that one was updated, matched with Senate Bill 5 and 572. So it is matching state statute as of that time frame. There hasn't been any changes in regard to nuisance violations. We do follow, technically, we have to follow a 7-day rule, so they get a 10-day warning, and then every 7 days they can receive a citation unless they do something to fix or make improvements on the problem. Our nuisance officer does not use that. She usually does about a 10 to 14 day. So he could very possibly obtain 3 citations in a time frame before court, depending on where I have the court date. I usually am about out a month and a half on citations. So that's, I mean, we're currently in court in Clay County in regard to him, so. If you don't like the judge's ruling, you have the option to pay the trial de novo fee, go to Clay County, you go to one of the circuit level judges. If you don't like theirs, I don't know where it goes. I'll let you know in about a month when it gets there, on 2 of the citations.
Question for you. So state statute changes all the time. Our local ordinances try to stay within the boundaries that the state of Missouri is doing. If there's a material change in one of like our nuisance or animal control or some like public welfare kind of ordinance, do you guys normally come to us and say, hey, we need something changed, or does that?
If I find out about it, I do. But I think in the past, there was like every few years, they were supposed to be reviewed by E-code. I don't know that for sure happened, but that's what I've been told.
And the last time,
So there's
Our
been no
ordinance-
new state statutes in regard to nuisance
Okay.
rules since Senate Bill 572 that were not changed,
okay,
that I'm aware of. But you should, I think all of our codes should be checked out, because it's been a while. And like Patrick said, things change all the time. I know our court costs ordinance will have to be changed once I get the audit back. But it just has like a board bill section in it that's not needed.
okay, thank you.
Can you come with a recommendation of how we accomplish a full review of ordinances, of nuisance and public safety style ordinances?
It would be E-code or Lauber that can make that recommendation. I don't know.
Okay.
That's all you.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right. Personnel Committee. Patrick, are
You
you?
want to take it?
No,
No, okay.
You can do it. Feel free.
Okay, we spoke on a couple of items at the Personnel Committee meeting. I meant to bring the agenda, I did not, but we can kind of run through it. One of the items was there is a distinct need in our administration department for account reconciliation. So account reconciliation is at the end of the month, you look at our Encode, right? Is the software vendor. Our accounting software, we look at all the revenue and expenses that have been logged inside of there, and then you compare them to the bank records to make sure that each line item lines up and is the right amount and is billed to the right accounts and all that good stuff. There was some processes that were abnormal that started around April of 2024. And in order for us to be able to start doing account reconciliations the right way, we have to kind of go back to that original time frame and rework it month by month until we get our current Encode stuff to be correct. So that is an extraordinary amount of effort that our current staffing and admin can't do while still performing their core jobs today. So the proposal that's been put forth by the mayor is to identify the scope of work as account reconciliations, perform a 1099 contract agreement with an individual to perform those services. This individual would not have access to our software. This person will work with our city clerk in order to receive the data that she needs out of our software, perform the reconciliations, and then put the work back inside of the software. And there's additional, because this is financial reporting, there's additional rules around confidentiality and some like certification style stuff. So what the proposal that has been discussed is we bring forth an agreement. The board, there will be a motion tonight whereby a contract for the work is created by the city clerk and the mayor in conjunction with our legal team in order to allow the work to be accomplished. One of the compensation models that I wanted to at least talk about with you guys is not necessarily an hourly rate, more of a, because it's a project, treat it as a project of an estimated time frame. How long would it take a normal person operating this number of hours to accomplish this task? And then set some milestones for, because it's a time period based thing, April 2024 to July 2025, divide the number of months by 4 and say the success of the first block of time will trigger the first payment. Once it's been successfully verified by the city clerk, the work is satisfactory, and then move on to the next block of time, and then the next block of time, and the next block of time, until 100% of the work is done in a satisfactory manner. So I'm going to open the floor to discussion. And at the end of the discussion, it'll be a motion to move forward with the writing of the contract, not approval of the contract, but the agreement to have our legal team work with our staff to create the contract for the scope of work, compensation, and all the related addendums for it.
Okay.
Yes.
So, maybe I missed something. So how long are you proposing the contract and the type of work? And what were the milestones that you were looking for to show that this person is meeting the expectations?
So the total length of the contract is kind of up for determination by our city staff. It is an estimation of how long it takes a normal person working this amount of hours to accomplish an account reconciliation per month, and then calculate that by month. I don't know that that
Oh, you
work's
don't
been
know the
done
number yet?
No.
Okay. So I guess that was the question
Yeah.
for the average person doing reconciles.
Honestly, I don't know, but it's going to be for a time period of like 15 to 16 months.
Okay.
And then when you look, let's just assume it's 16 by the time July and August rolls around, that'll be included in it. 16 easily divisible by 4. Once the contractor performs 4 months of reconciliation and provides all of the changes, the account reconciliations is a recommendation of transactions to add to the software, or categorizations to perform in the software. They will provide that recommendation. Matthew will review the recommendations and then effect those changes inside the software. Once 4 months is done, and Matthew's like, that month was good, that month is good. Hey, I had some questions about some items on month 3. Oh, you've answered them. 3 is good, 4 is good. Then, upon successful completion of those 4 months, pay them out for that period of time, and then start the next block of work.
Okay, so I have some more questions.
Yeah.
With the reconciliation, what exactly does it cover, and what are we reconciling? Because I'm trying to understand that. And then was there a proposed like contract rate that or since you're saying it's lump sum?
Mm-hmm. So on the first part, I had it. Can you, what was
Isn't
it?
it reconciling the income
Yes.
to the bank statements?
Okay.
Of the accounts. So there's not just one city account, there are a number of accounts.
Okay.
But the bulk of transactions in a given month happens out of our general revenue, a general like revenue general expense account.
Mm-hmm.
That's the 98%.
Our treasurer does not perform that function
Okay.
for us,
Good.
nor was that function performed during the annual audit.
Okay.
So that's what we're trying to
Okay.
cover.
Okay. And
And
then,
then time frame, like length of time, I don't know. What's a rough ballpark? Are we thinking maybe 4 months to complete? A month per 4 month time slot? At this point, it's just kind of a spitball.
Yeah.
I trust that our city staff is going to perform a reasonable calculation of an estimation of time per month and compensate and the per hour estimation for a block sum of money per milestone. And all that should be shared inside of the actual contract for us to
okay.
agree, disagree, alter, change, kind of go from there.
So are we going to hire one or several people? I'm just curious. Have you one person? Okay. Those were my only
And as
questions
far
right
as
now.
candidates for it, we were not at that juncture yet.
Okay.
Once we get a contract, like a written one that our city is good with, then we can interact with individuals to fill that need. And then the ability to double check credentials and make sure they're the right person for the job.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Awesome. Any other questions? Debbie, was that did I capture everything?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I move that we direct the city clerk to work with the members of admin department and our city legal services for the creation of a contract for the purpose of account reconciliations.
Second it. Thank you. Any further discussion, questions?
So, just curious, when will we have like a draft of the contract proposed? And have we identified the company? Or is that getting into the weeds too much?
I don't know, what's an estimation for how long?
I don't want to overpromise. My hope is to have it at the next meeting.
Okay.
Maybe the first meeting in August, more realistic, but my hope is the next meeting.
Okay.
For-
The
And I
clerk,
already know you have a heavy load, and I mean, I'm just curious if you had a deadline.
well, the clerk is going to be out for 3 days at the MIRMA conference at the end of July. So we need to keep that in mind.
So then we need to say realistically, maybe next month or September?
Well,
That's September.
the dates I'm gonna be out are after the next meeting, so.
Okay.
If I can, legals, I don't, like I said, I don't overpromise, but that's my hope.
I just want to make sure we have realistic expectations. And if you can't have it for next meeting, then we can be okay. You know, I'd rather you not overpromise and just say, I need more time.
Yeah, and with the delay, it does expand the amount of work in that initial block of work. Each month adds to it. And reconciliations can't just be started willy-nilly. It has to have a solid starting foundation. And we've identified a solid starting month back in 2024. So we're having to incrementally work our way up to the present. So Matthew, what the consultation with legal is we outline, hey, we need a contract. This is the boundaries that we want. What else do we need to have in there as far as confidentiality, as far as access to workplace, as far as access to systems, access to equipment, things like that. And then it's kind of in our legal team's court to come back with a contract that is ready for our review to make sure we're good with the details of it.
Okay. Anything else? Clerk, call the roll.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Callaghan,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Showers,
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes?
Awesome.
Thank you all very much.
The second piece out of personnel committee was the topic of the city collector. So city collector is an elected position within Pleasant Valley. A number of years ago, there was an ordinance that removed all of the duties associated with that office. That person has 0 responsibilities, duties outlined in our ordinances. And their compensation reflects the lack of assignments. They get $1 per year. So for a 2-year term, they make a whopping $2. What's been proposed, so the mayor is looking at all of the tasks that admin team has, and one of the biggest issues with revenue is collecting on fees, licenses, and taxes that is owed to the city. We have the opportunity to define what the city collector does in ordinance, and then allow that person to start doing that. If we do both the duties and the compensation at the same time, then the person currently serving the office can start doing the work immediately and receive the compensation for that work. So some of the work that the mayor has identified is business licenses. There's a couple of really large service-based and product-based businesses within Pleasant Valley. Some of them are in arrears on their business licenses. And that poses, when we look at the city being able to provide services to its citizens, we have to control expenses as best we can. And we also have to ensure that we are receiving the proper income that is owed to the city. We have ordinances on the books that outlines tax rates, that outlines the parameters for income. We need somebody to kind of be the teeth and help track down some of that income and revenue that the city is missing. It is a detriment to our citizens that we don't collect all revenue owed to the city. So here's the second motion that we are going to make today as it relates to Personnel Committee. It is, okay, I'll just do it. Sorry, I get all these long-winded things. I need to chill out a little bit. I move that we direct the city staff to work with our legal team to draft an ordinance for the board's review that allows the city collector to perform additional collecting activities at a compensation rate that is reasonable. We haven't talked about the details of that yet, so like I don't know what's reasonable or not. Yeah.
Do we have a city collector
Yeah.
right now?
Yes,
What's
we
their
do.
name?
Becky Golds.
Okay,
She was elected.
okay, that's right.
Oh.
Matthew, did you capture that motion?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion?
So he's gonna get the contract created. Do we need to also have an ordinance drafted to discuss compensation, so we do it at the same time? Or is it in the same ordinance?
That was in his,
In the first one, yeah.
Okay.
So
I didn't hear
part of
that.
the creation of the contract is also the ordinance to enact the contract. All contracts that are outside of the budget also have to be enacted by ordinance. And because this is a non-budgeted expense, yeah. Ordinance form,
Okay.
which means reading it twice.
Okay. Any further questions, discussion? Clerk, call the roll. Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
No, who, I didn't catch the.
yes, I second it.
Thank you. I thought it was, but I didn't know. Okay.
Okay, clerk, call the roll.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Callaghan,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Showers,
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes,
Alrighty,
That's all the personnel matters I had. Thank you.
but then you get to speak about finance as well.
I know.
Yep.
Right.
Okay. So in the admin report, you saw that there was an additional movement of funds from the sewer fund into the sewer investment fund. 250,000 in a 6-month CD, 4.3% interest, and that was executed on June 27th. Also, we can start receiving a higher interest rate on funds that we currently have making a really pathetic interest rate. That is fantastic news. So one of the things that we need to do as a board is come together as a finance committee and talk about what other funds in the city are able to be done in much the same manner. What other large amounts of money are sitting in just a regular checking account, earning marginal slim interest rates? Where can we move those into safe investment vehicles for funding some of the additional expenses that we incur as a city on an ongoing basis? We always have ambulances breaking down and requiring $4,000 repair bills. We have stuff happen. So, and there's expenses that we want to fund, that we need to fund, such as helping ensure that the health and safety of our employees are met with quality buildings. So all of that will require money to do that. One option that we have is by leveraging the income that we would see on interest and dividends related to these investment accounts. So I'm hoping to, over the next 2 weeks, at some point in the next 2 weeks, meet as a finance committee to have a deep dive specifically related to where are our funds right now and which ones are eligible, and at what amounts should we create investment accounts dedicated to that fund, and what amounts to move into there in order to start purchasing CDs and start accruing interest on them. There's a schedule associated with this as well. If you do a 12-month CD with a large sum of money, you're tying up that money for a longer period of time. One of the things that we'd like to do is create a cycle of investments so that we always have within a quarter a set of CDs becoming mature. So that first year will require staggered amounts of investment, 3-month, 6-month, 9-month, and then once we hit those, then we can start doing years or whichever the interest rate is better on, whatever time frame, go from there. So I don't want to have that entire discussion here. When we have a finance committee meeting, that allows us to do the deep dive on it. So what's everyone's schedule?
Who's on the finance?
Everybody is on the finance committee. The finance committee comprises all
They
of us.
can't see my own TV.
What was that? Okay.
Comments from the peanut gallery.
So I'll throw out some times, and if people are not available during those, then say something.
Could you do this within the week of the 14th?
Yeah, absolutely. We can absolutely do it next week.
Because that way Matthew will be around. Okay.
How about Tuesday the 15th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
I can't. I can't.
And I know you work as well. What times of the day are better for you, Dean?
I get off at 4:30.
Off at 4:30?
Yeah.
Okay. Are we good doing it at 4:30? Or 4:35? To allow you to.
I can leave a little early, but I can be at 4:30.
What day?
How about 15th?
I have to be somewhere at 6, so will we be done by then?
What time would you have to leave here? 5:30?
5:30.
Okay.
So 4:30,
I-
5:30?
I would hope that we don't spend more than 60 minutes talking numbers and money and stuff. I think if we have a really laid out agenda, which I'll work with Matthew to have all the data, all the numbers, a proposal of what we'll do so that we can deep dive, discuss it, I think we can be constrained to that hour. 4:30 on the 15th. Sound good?
Mhm.
Awesome. Let's schedule it.
So next Tuesday at 4:30. Okay.
Okay, so also on finance, this is the first meeting of the month. Yep, just double check. Yes. I've worked with Matthew Chapman. He is working on the last chart to include in our board packets for the second meeting of the month. So we will have June's numbers on revenues. So we'll just build on the same revenue chart that we've been talking about. We will have the profit loss statement essentially that we reviewed last time. We will additionally have for the first time an expense view that is very similar to the income view. So I'm excited, and I hope you guys are too, because I think it will help with us see how the city is doing on an expense basis in a really easy to read manner. Cool. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Any new business coming up? Okay.
Yes.
I do have, so sorry. I do have, applications for the Board of Zoning, Jason Roberts, and an application for, the Parks and Rec Committee, Jennifer Gallagher.
I'm curious about this whole planning and zoning. It's just like, who's on it? How's that work? I don't know. I'm just new enough. I don't.
Okay, Alec, when I came into office, there was no planning and zoning people. They had expired, the whole board had expired in 4 of 24. And we didn't see any reapplications from those people. What I look for when I ask people to come forward is that they have some kind of background that looks like they might fit with whatever I'm asking them to do. The 3 people that we got to do this because we were on a timeline with the conditional use permit that had to be done by June 30th. And we had a 15-day posting limitation or regulation that we had to meet. I chose Alec Toy to bring forward. He's an architect. He is retired to some extent. He works part-time. David Dollins is the retired North Kansas City Fire Marshal. And then a resident, his name is, help me, Gene Thornburg. I'm adding, and we have the opportunity to have 5 community members, plus John and myself on the board. So I'm trying to get a 4th person in case one of those 3 can't make a meeting because they're out of town or they're sick or whatever. That way we'll have somebody to step in.
Okay.
And Jen is coming forward because we need people on the Parks Committee.
Yeah, but I was talking about planning and zoning.
Okay, only. Okay. All right.
So we need a motion to accept both of these?
Yes, please.
I make a motion that we accept both applications, one for the park board, one for the planning and zoning board as presented.
I'll ask if we separate them. I plan to abstain on Jennifer's appointment.
I will separate them. We'll do the planning and zoning, accept the planning and zoning initially.
Okay.
That's second.
Thank you, Dean. Any further discussion?
I'll second
Dean already did that.
Okay.
Clerk, call the roll.
And this is for the planning and zoning.
Correct.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Callaghan,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Showers,
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Make a motion that we accept the application for the park board as submitted.
I second
Please, you have to name them.
I didn't name the first one. I just said the one that was
Okay,
presented to us.
okay, all right.
Do you want me to put in
I do.
for Jen Gallagher?
Yes.
For the park board?
And Dean, are you still seconding?
Yep.
Okay. Call the roll.
Gallagher,
Abstain.
Callaghan,
Yes.
Jacoby,
it. Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Showers,
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
All right. Anything?
You have to abstain on that because there's no.
I was just going to say,
Just put that.
yeah.
Anybody ready to call for an adjournment?
I call for adjournment.
Second.
Okay. Is that something that John?
I heard,
Yeah, go ahead, Stephanie can have it.
Don't do it here. This side of the room, I didn't see. Okay, okay, Stephanie. Clerk, call the roll.
Callaghan,
Yes.
Callaghan,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Sparta,
Yes.
Showers,
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Yay.
Getting pressure already.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
Do you want to be?
Oh, yeah.
Can you take
I'll
it?
just be thinking out, but I don't. I'll just let it go. That's it. Okay, all right. And my brother always says.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
Hold on, EJ. I gotta talk to one person.
What was the issue?
After December, it'll be a little easier.
Asking good questions.
After September?
December.
Oh, December? Why's that?
I've set a final date, so.
Did you really?
Yeah. I've reached